This is Topline Hotline with your hosts AJ Bruno, Asif Zaman, and me, Sam Jacobs, where we answer questions from the go-to-market community every week. You can't always get what you need on a GTM. Well, I saw her today at SAS Open. A glass of LaCroix in her hand. I knew she was gone. All right. It's Top Line Hotline. Couldn't think of anything there. Couldn't think of anything.
You killed it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I've been listening back to myself a lot recently, and I got to say, I'm great.
You have a good voice. You have a really good voice.
Some of these I actually might hit the note. Anyway, all right. We got a question. This is Top Line Hotline. We're going to answer a question from the go-to-market community, from the top line community within the Pavilion Slack, which is really active right now. Everybody's talking about founder mode. But AJ, you got a question for us.
I have a question from a friend that slacked me on Pavilion Slack. So this came direct to me, and someone that I've known, venture-backed company. He's doing really well. He had a tough year last year, like some of us, but he's rebounded. I think they're doing 160% to plan. Really great on top line. And he asked me, he said, look, AJ, I write these monthly board metrics. They're pretty crisp and clear. I have a board member that isn't as engaged as I'd like them to be. And they just write these messages that are just really challenging where they say like, hey, what about this number? Why was burn this? Or can you show me a waterfall that gets me to this by the end of the year? Like we keep missing on this one number. What is that? Why are we so off on projections? And the challenge that this person is having is that they feel like the board members aren't engaged and they're missing context and missing things. And it's really a frustrating thing. So it feels like it's a distraction. Is it something that they should hop out of what they're doing day to day and just go down the rabbit hole and answer this board member's questions? Or how should they best answer this? And would love to hear from you both on this. And I of course, I have board members, so I can have
I think you're the person that's dealt with the most difficult board members. You know, you've mentioned privately that you really dislike actively all of your existing board, really to a person. Like personally,
I have a great
lot
board.
Of vitriol that you really, really dislike them.
For the record, I was talking to my CEO coach. I brought up Glenn, and Glenn said, "AJ, you have a fantastic board." So this is not.
But you have had people.
But I've had this.
You've had exactly this issue. People sending you annoying messages
in the past.
Like, listen, and so what's your answer?
The first thing is to take a pause and take a breath and just really ask yourself: is this the most important thing that I could be doing right now? And most likely the answer is no. So what I have done in the past is I've messaged like, "Hey, I've received that. Great. Let me take a look at it." Then I'll take a step back and just say like, well, what did I say in my message that might be causing this misfidelity or this miss in it? Because board members have like 8 different companies that they're going to mix up what companies. They might not be always paying attention to you. You want them to be paying attention to you. You want them to understand, but it is you as the founder, as the CEO, as the operator to give them that context. And so what I would typically say is like, well, split their question up. Let's say they're asking about GRR and net burn. I think I just used that as an example of like, well, if GRR is the main focal point there, if you fix GRR, that's going to help net burn. So focus on that part of it and just say like, here are the activities and here's what we're doing to do that. Then like relate it back to the other question and say like, here's some of the general highlights on net burn. And finally end it with putting it back on them. Like, if you want to catch up on this, let's set up a call and we can talk. Otherwise, this is going to be the main topic of the board meeting in a month and a half. And that typically ends it. What I find what founders typically do is they will answer all the questions and then that will just cause more questions. Mm-hmm. And so the thing you really want to avoid is just being like, oh, okay, going on this like what feels like a dog and pony show and then becomes a distraction. And then it doesn't. At the end of the day, board members just want to be helpful. They want to be supportive to what you're doing. So they're not asking, if you reread it, they're most likely not asking with any negative intent or anything that feels like it's actually problematic, but it can feel that way as a founder because you're in the business and you might not feel like they're engaged. But luckily, I don't have this current issue. So, but Sam, Asad, have either of you had this? I mean, Sam,
I think everything. I think I I really agree with a lot of what you said. First of all, take a pause. That's really important because sometimes you send an update and they come back with an annoying question and you want to just fire off the answer. And like anything in life, it's always good to probably not do that. And I really like what you said, which is if you just answer all of the questions and they're going to ask more questions. And so that's where I think, your framework of like, let's figure out what's actually going on. Like, let's have a conversation. Let's make sure we're on the same page. I think is a great approach. I get nervous. I don't think there's like an easy answer, like a cut and dry answer, because I think they sort of want to be helpful, but I also think that sometimes they think being helpful is being annoying. I think that they think like, well, my job is governance and my job. So then there's like this negative spiral, this downward spiral where your instinct or your reaction to some of this is probably to stop sharing as much information because they're just going to ask annoying questions about it. And that's where I think personal relationships are really important. We're like getting them on the phone and saying like, let's make sure that we're talking regularly, that you understand the business so that there's nothing lost in translation. Control really helps.
That is,
I mean,
that's true.
I think there's no easy answer because if you say like, just ignore it, or, that's not a priority, or that you can get fired very easily by burning those relationships.
Well, that's why I said definitely answer them. Write us like, hey, receive. This is an important message. But like, if you're working, I mean, I'm thinking about this in that founder who's probably working on like new business deals to save the company or GRR or whatever they're firefighting, is like that they've got to do it when it makes the most sense. And if they pull time away from that, then they're just hurting what they're trying to do.
I think this is where you probably have to look at your board and say, person by person, who understands my business 10 out of 10? And whoever is at a 6 or 7, I think it's the CEO's job to get them to a 9 or 10, because otherwise they can't be productive partners to you if they really don't deeply understand it. And it's hard to, right? It's hard to understand the business.
Yeah, so I don't think that's the goal, but there's plenty of circumstances where I can see where, let's say you're a new CEO coming in to take over a company and fix some things, and they're going reasonably well, but a Series B fund might have some high flyers and might have some companies that are lower and they need to fix, and like they're going under and they need to find landings. You're not going to always be the top priority. So I don't think it's always.
I think you as a CEO have to try though. Like you have to say, if I'm going to have to deal with these people, let's just try to get them to get to a good spot in terms of context. And so I think you have to try, and maybe you can't get everyone to 10 out of 10, but I think that's an healthy exercise that I've heard has helped people. I think the second becomes that when you send the memo, say, hey, all of you send me your questions. And the way I'm going to do this is I'm then going to take 48 hours. I'm going to write out responses to all of them and send the responses to everyone. So it's like, don't ask a stupid question because everyone's going to see you asking a stupid question. Is kind of part of that. So I think trying to do that helps. Having lots of trying to have it over a phone call is usually easier for me than having to write a long email. So if I can just jump on a call and talk about it, I'll do that. I think those are like your usual bets in terms of how do you deal with it. The problem becomes when that person just keeps doing these things. How do you deal with that particular person? And I think it's so case by case that it's not like, here's the playbook. It's like, who's that human? How do I deal with it? What's going on in their life? Is their portfolio going under? Like, you have to ask all those questions. So it's a very like individual answer then.
Well, I think that's what a wonderful top line hotline that we've just all experienced together. By the way, everybody, I have something to say. Hold on a second. Where is it? There it is. Okay. If anyone, the future of revenue report, it's a thing that's happening with Pavilion and Crossbeam. We're doing part 2 of it this year, and we're actively asking people to complete the survey. If anyone wants to contribute to the research, that link is in the show notes. We've got a great research report coming out called The Future of Revenue with Crossbeam and Pavilion. Thanks for listening to this. Beautiful ad read. I think it's important. God bless all of you and have a wonderful day.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Bye.